This week's episode of the Infamous Podcast is brought to you by Comixology.com. Are you in desperate need of a superhero fix? We can help you out. Go to infamouspodcast.com/Comixology and you can get access to Comixology Unlimited free for 30 days. And you can get access to Batman and Wonder Woman and Black Widow and Spider-Man and all these great comic book movies that are supposed to be coming out that have been pushed back. So go to infamouspodcast.com/Comixology and start your free 30-day trial to Comixology Unlimited today. Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
And this is Darryl.
And today, Darryl, we are talking. Words are hard, Darryl. Dude, we're not even 10 seconds in and words are hard. This week we're talking about the first two episodes of The Mandalorian because we decided to record on Friday instead of Thursday this week. So, bonus. But now we got to think of something else to talk about next week. Anyway, and then we got news bites about Johnny Depp. We've got Disney's movie calendar has made some pretty drastic changes and a potential spinoff from Disney Plus that may be shooting next week. Speculation. But real quick.
Question mark?
Yeah, question mark. Is that like Malkovich? Do you remember being John Malkovich?
Yeah.
When he goes into his own head. This is the creepiest scene ever. All right, so what's going on, man? Like, it's been a crazy week. Like, not even talking about like the political landscape of our country. I don't know about you. It's just been really busy.
Yeah, I've had a crazy week at work, and I just want to say, for the Supernatural fans out there, Destiel is not a thing. That's fan fiction, okay? Let it go.
I don't even know what that is, but okay.
So Destiel is people who ship, quote unquote, Dean and Castiel. Yes. So not as a bromance duo, but as a romance duo. So wait,
is Castiel an angel?
Yes.
They don't have junk, dude. How would that work?
Anyway, yeah,
So
you know how.
So for all these people shipping that, where's Limitatron when we need him to come down and be the voice of God?
Well, I don't actually know where he is.
As the non theologically tilted person on this podcast,
Metatron
that's a deep cut. That's a deep cut. So
Metatron was actually on the show, right?
No.
Yes, he was.
Not in the first. Not in the first 5 seasons.
Oh no.
Okay.
No. And he was played by Booger from Revenge of the Nerds.
Ugh, I can't stand Curtis Armstrong. Ugh. Ugh. I see him show up on things and it's just like he's so creepy. I don't know. There's something about him. He was on an episode of Blue Mountain State where he was trying to get his daughter to hook up with Alex Moran, the quarterback. And it was just gross. And it's like, I don't know. I don't know anything about the guy. So it's like it's just a snap judgment based on just kind of the fact that he looks kind of creepy. But whatever.
He was the principal.
Yeah, who knows?
He was Jess's principal in New Girl as well.
Oh, I forgot about that. I kind of blacked that season out. That wasn't a very good season. That was this season with Dylan McDermott, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that wasn't. Yeah, I did not like that season at all. But yeah, all right. So first story of the news bitiness. So Johnny Depp has been forced to exit Fantastic Beasts, according to this article from Variety today.
Yeah. He posted it on Twitter Twitter, Instagram, whatever. He posted that they asked him to step down.
So, okay. So, have you been following the trial at all, or the trials
against? Here and there.
Okay. So, like, what is Jeremy from The Quartering? There's a bunch of people following her, but they've all started calling her Amber Turd because she pooped in his bed.
Yeah.
Which I find very funny. But so in a nutshell, if you guys aren't familiar, Johnny Depp was married to Amber Heard. They had a very contentious marriage. She got his dogs killed by taking them to Australia. She abused him. She said he abused her, allegedly. And then every single person they've talked to, his exes, her friends, they all say he's like the sweetest person ever. And her friends are like, she's a piece of crap. She actually stole her assistant's like sexual assault story. And like, you know, it's just like, it's really weird. And so this was a British court that sided with him on all of this. But yeah, he's stepping down, and I actually liked him as Grindelwald. I thought he and Jude Law had a really good little chemistry there. They were the best part of the last movie anyway, other than Eddie Redmayne, because Newt Scamander is my favorite character in all of Harry Potter. But yeah, so this article, Johnny Depp will no longer portray the Dark Wizard Gellert Grindelwald in the Fantastic Beasts film franchise, the actor announced Friday. And he wrote on his Instagram, "I wish to let you know that I've been asked to resign by Warner Brothers from my role as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts, and I have respected and agreed to that request," he wrote. So yeah, this isn't good. You know, it's not a court of law, right? This was the suit that they're talking about is a liable case he had against The Sun, which is a tabloid. So if you guys think like National Enquirer, TMZ, CNN, it's all a tabloid with sensationalized stories that post these things with little to no proof or anything like that. So yeah, I don't know. So here's the thing: he'll depart the Fantastic Beasts franchise. So this is from Warner Brothers. Johnny Depp will depart the Fantastic Beasts franchise. We thank Johnny for his work on the films to date, a Warner Brothers spokesman said. Fantastic Beasts 3 is currently in production, and the role of Grindelwald will be recast. The film will debut in theaters worldwide in the summer of 2022. Sure it will. Because theaters aren't going to be a thing in 2022. Yeah, so I don't know what to think about this.
So, and we've talked about this before. I don't know if it's on the show, but definitely offline. It's quite interesting that they ask him to resign, and yet Amber Heard, for all intents and purposes, at this moment, is still attached to Aquaman 2.
Well, so is
Ezra Miller,
so is Ezra Miller, who's on video attacking a woman.
Who choked somebody on film, and yet they ask Johnny Depp to resign.
Yeah. It's really strange, right? And, it's just really strange.
Let's be honest. Like, we've talked about how Warner, in general, it seems like they're run by a team of monkeys anyway.
Hold on. They're run by a team of single-celled amoebas because they don't have two brain cells to rub together.
My apologies to monkeys.
Yeah, monkeys are smart. They're adorable. Yeah, they actually other than throwing poop around at each other, which is
talking poop at people.
Yeah, but I mean, come on.
It's their practical joke. So,
sure. I mean, that's their going to the movies is throwing poop at each other. Maybe that's what we do coming out of the quarantine stuffness is we just start throwing poop at each other. Dude, I would not be able to walk 10 steps in the world if that was the case without throwing up.
Well, I mean, just don't go to San Francisco then.
Well, I mean, I told you the story about Haley when she was a baby and she had the blowout in her crib and like she had rolled in it. And I ran out and I was in the bathroom like throwing up, and Angel comes in. She's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I'm barfing. I'm just pointing back at Haley's room, just pointing like emphatically. And she walked in there and she was a trooper and took care of it. And like later that day, she's like, "What would you have done if I hadn't been here?" I said, "I don't know. I would have
just stayed there."
I said, "I probably would have bricked up the door and we would have started over with a new kid." So, yeah. So it's funny, not to be gross, but Angel is really good with that stuff, and I'm fine with vomit. So, and she's in vomit is like her trigger. So, anyway,
how do you balance each other out?
We do. That's why we're married, because she can handle the poop and I can handle the puke. Yeah. So okay. So here's kind of what I want to see with this Fantastic Beasts things. If he's not booked, is go back to Colin Farrell.
Yes, I read there was actually somebody. One of the articles I read about this. There was in the comments somebody's mentioned that, and because I really like Colin Farrell in the first one, and to be honest, I was kind of disappointed when Johnny Depp came in.
I was 100% let down when he morphed into Johnny Depp. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, and it has nothing to do with Johnny Depp as an actor or anything. Yeah. It's just I was so digging Colin Farrell in that role.
Absolutely. So that would be the ideal solution to this.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. Again, we know WB Warner is not.
Yeah, they kept. Jeff Johns is still allowed to do stuff there after the way he's treated Ray Fisher. Joss Whedon got like a wide berth, and Joss Whedon's a scumbag.
And yeah,
allegedly. Hold on, let me rephrase that. Well, Joss Whedon is allegedly a scumbag.
Yeah. And this is not including, if you take away stuff that allegedly happened on the Justice League, some of the stuff that has come out about him.
Well, like the Buffy stuff. So, yeah. All right. So they have Johnny Depp's full statement here. And it says, in light of recent events, I would like to make the following short statement. Firstly, I'd like to thank everybody who has gifted me with their support and loyalty. I have been humbled and moved by your many messages of love and concern, particularly over the last few days. Johnny, we're right there with you, buddy. Secondly, I wish to let you know that I have been asked to resign by Warner Brothers from my role as Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts, and I have respected and agreed to that request. Finally, I wish to say this. The surreal judgment of the court in the UK will not change my fight to tell the truth, and I confirm that I plan to appeal. My resolve remains strong, and I intend to prove that the allegations against me are false. My life and my career will not be defined by this moment in time. Thank you for reading. Sincerely, Scriggly Lines, Johnny Depp.
Scriggly lines?
Well, he signed it. Like, honestly, the way he signed it, I'm questioning if he's literate. So
maybe he signed it as Captain Jack.
Maybe he had somebody else write this and he just signed it. But yeah, so I don't know, man. Like, I have a very low opinion of celebrities these days.
Yes.
At the same time, I think there's been enough. Like, I think if Winona Ryder, of all people, would come out and if he was a scumbag, she's a pretty straight shooter, it seems, she would say he's a POS. And yeah, Amber Heard, while she's aesthetically pleasing to look at, like, is not someone who I really want to go see in a movie.
Not at all.
So.
Not at all.
She's like the homeless person's Scarlett Johansson.
That's pretty accurate.
So, all right. Let's move on then to the next story. Also from Variety. Disney has removed Ryan Reynolds' Free Guy and Death of the Nile from its release calendar. So Disney announced another shakeup to the studio release calendar, postponing action comedy Free Guy and Death on the Nile, the follow-up to Kenneth Branagh's hit. Why isn't hit in quotes? The Murder on the Orient Express, because that movie was not a hit. It was a bomb. Free Guy was slated for December 11th, and Death on the Nile was set to debut December 18th. Neither have new release dates. Put them both on HBO Max.
Yeah. These are two movies that are not going to be just throw them on there, throw them on whatever, because these aren't like a Wonder Woman or a big budget movie that's going to make a lot that would conceivably bring a lot of people to the theaters. It's just not. They're not going to put butts in seats.
Nope. The delays are another blow to movie theaters, which have been struggling to sell tickets with the dearth of new film offerings. As it stands, Wonder Woman 1984, the comic book sequel starring Gal Gadot, is the only potential blockbuster still scheduled for 2020. The superhero tentpole will premiere on Christmas Day. Smaller movies like Universal's animated adventure The Croods: A New Age on November 25th, thriller Freaky on November 13th, and Promising Young Woman on December 25th also remain on deck. But all of the movie theaters are closed for the foreseeable future. So where is Wonder Woman going to come out?
Well, no. Wait a minute. So Cinemark is still open.
Okay.
The Regal is closed, correct?
Yeah.
AMC, I don't know about. I just saw an article that they lost $1 billion or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah.
AMC is AMC is the Titanic right about now. And from what I could understand, although I think they're partially owned or majority owned by a studio or by someone in China.
Yeah, AMC is a Chinese company at this point. So, all right. So as far as film distributors for the next wide theatrical releases, we've got Freaky on November 13th, Wonder Woman December 25th, Monster Hunter December 30th. But didn't Monster Hunter just come out on video on demand? Anyway, all right. The Devil's Light, January 8th. Cash Truck. These all sound like Seinfeld movies. Rochelle. Cash Truck, January 15th. The Kingsman, which is the prequel to The Kingsmen, February 12th, 2021. The Untitled Billie Holiday Project, February 12th, 2021. If it's still untitled and we're November 6th, it's not coming out.
How does it have a release date?
And then Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon, March 12th, 2021. Of all of these movies, the only one I think that has a chance of hitting its like release date as posted here is Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yeah, like.
But we can get into the conspiracies about like all of this later. Yeah. Like seriously, Warner's just put Free Guy. Free Guy is something I definitely wanted to see, and I definitely wanted to see it in the theater. Just put it on HBO Max, charge me $10 extra for it, and we'll be good.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
That's
or,
one of those
or put it on sale for $20 and I'll buy it on iTunes.
Yeah, I would buy that. I would buy that for $20. Yes.
But, yeah, it's getting ridiculous at this point. So, all right, let's talk about more ridiculousness. I hate Boba Fett. I don't know if you guys know that. I'm not sure if I've ever mentioned that I hate Boba Fett on this podcast before. Darryl, were you aware that I hated Boba Fett?
Yeah. Guess what? Tomorrow the sun is going to rise as well. So.
Water is wet and the sky is typically blue. All right. So there is a rumor that The Mandalorian is reportedly getting a Boba Fett spinoff series, and it could start shooting as early as next week. So today is Friday, November 6th. So starting Monday, November 9th, it could start shooting. I do not know where the source is Deadline. So I don't know where Deadline got. Let's see if Deadline has a source. This is just ridiculousness, right? Tamara Morrison showed up for 2 seconds. Spoilers. At some point during the Mandalorian's premiere. And now they're going to do a Boba Fett miniseries.
So, well, let's talk about the first ridiculous thing, that it can be shooting as early as next week.
Well, okay, that headline is a 100% clickbait thing. So I'm looking at the original article here from Deadline. Disney Plus signature original series The Mandalorian just returned for its second season, which had wrapped production just before the pandemic hit in March. While not officially greenlit, a third season of the hit Star Wars series has been in pre-production for months. That has been greenlit. I thought it was, at least. With creators, directors, and executive producer Jon Favreau publicly stating that he'd hoped to start filming by the end of 2020, which may be the case, with some sources indicating that production will be starting as soon as next week or in late November, early December, while others point to spring or even fall 2021. And then it says here, confusion stems from the level of secrecy in the Lucasfilm camp, but persistent chatter could explain the discrepancy with another Mandalorian-related project spinoff. I hear possibly a Boba Fett miniseries would film first, starting next week or later this month, with the Mandalorian season 3 production coming after that. Everybody thinks they want a Boba Fett series, right?
So this is my thing. Let me get this, because I understand your disdain for the character. Rightfully so. Let me put it this way. The character in the movies is, when they say in sports they call something overrated, like there's not a word to explain how overrated Boba Fett is in the Star Wars cinematic universe. There just isn't.
No.
Like, yeah, he was very cool. He did nothing. That's basically Boba Fett.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that being said, I would kind of be interested in a limited series, like in the sense of wondering what he was doing in this time frame. What is his purpose? Now, with that being said, I would much rather have them start working on the Mandalorian season 3
ASAP
before they did this. Yes,
like today.
Yeah, I it's one of those things that we really didn't ask for, and again, we hear that a lot. We say that a lot, but I'm curious just because of some of the stuff that happens in the Mandalorian. We'll get to that later. But at the same time, there are several characters I would much rather see on film.
Absolutely.
Or on Disney Plus before Boba Fett.
So like, I'm gonna sound like really Star Wars elitist here, and I'm gonna apologize for it because I feel like Star Wars is for everyone. But Boba Fett is the character that normies like, to use a Tim Pool word. Or even
Eric July.
Yeah, Eric July. Thank you. Dude, I love Eric July. His videos are amazing. Boba Fett is the favorite character for all the normies who just kind of like casually watch Star Wars movies. Boba Fett in the books, comics, pretty cool, right?
Yeah, in the books he's cool. Yeah.
But when you see Boba Fett, all I think about is him like bumping his head on shit, getting beat by a blind dude on a sand skiff, and then digested for 1,000 years by the Starlight. Of all the bounty hunters, like if we're gonna do a bounty hunter spinoff, let's do like Dengar. Like we don't know a whole lot about Dengar, like in the cinematic stuff. He's kind of creepy looking with his boils on his face and shit. And selfishly, he's the bounty hunter who I gravitate towards. But or maybe how about original characters? We're in a new area of the Star Wars universe, that like timeline that hasn't really been explored post Jedi.
Yeah,
new characters. Let's do the new.
Yes. Too often we've seen this with Star Wars. It seems like their biggest attraction or their biggest goal is to hit that nostalgia mark. And nostalgia is good sometimes, but to lay a lot of your foundation on it, no bueno. And Boba Fett would be the biggest mark of nostalgia, because again, we're not talking about a character that had a lot of stuff to do. We're talking about a character who was made to look like a fool.
Yeah.
Despite being really cool in Empire Strikes Back, and granted, I did read a couple of the bounty hunter books, and he was actually very interesting.
Yeah, he's interesting in those. Yeah. So, hey, really funny for a second in this Deadline article. There is a picture of the Mandalorian with the child, and the caption says "The Mandalorian," and then in parentheticals Pedro Pascal, and that just makes me laugh because it's probably not Pedro Pascal, and one of his stuntmen is not getting the credit they deserve. Did you know they had 3 stuntmen for him this year?
Yeah.
So
that was interesting.
So yeah, I actually in my notes have how much time do you think Pedro spent on set? So yeah, I don't want this. I don't. I'm really enjoying The Mandalorian for all its ups and downs. The fact that it's new and interesting and not something that it's like, oh, they did this better in the comics, or they did this better in a cartoon, or they did this better in a book.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, like with Favreau, I will give this caveat. With Favreau at the helm of kind of the Star Wars Disney Plus universe, I'm going to give everything that they send out a chance, but there are things that will be lower on my list of excitability, and this would probably fall down there at the moment.
I'll be honest, the only reason I would watch it is because we would probably talk about it on this podcast.
Who knows? It
like
could be great.
The Lie.
Moving on.
All right. So we've got Mando season 2, chapter 9, episode 1, The Marshal. So I do have to say this episode gave us something that I didn't know I always wanted.
What's that?
Space Raylan Givens.
I mean, Timothy Oliphant. I mean, I love him anyway. Just in general, I've loved him in the Santa Clarita Diet. I don't know if you ever.
Oh, dude, I haven't watched the last season yet, but I do love that.
He's just amazing.
So.
And yes, like you said, he was in this episode as the Marshal. He was 100% Space Raylan Givens.
Dude, Space Raylan is where it's at. I'm when we knew he was coming, I knew who he was playing, so I knew what to expect. Because Cobb Vanth has a single chapter in each of the 3 Aftermath books, which are okay. The first one I liked, the last one I really liked, the second one I did not care for. But yeah, so it was interesting. So it kicked off. It says, so the summary for this one is, seeking other Mandalorians to help him reunite the child with his kind, the Mandalorian approaches criminal Gor Koresh, who supposedly knows their whereabouts, at a ring fight. A ring fight, Darryl. After failing to kill the Mandalorian for his Beskar armor, Koresh reveals the rumors of another Mandalorian operating on Tatooine. Returning to Tatooine, the Mandalorian and the child are reunited with mechanic Peli Motto. Motto reveals the location of Mos Pelgo, a town thought destroyed and not shown on most maps. I liked this episode a lot. We talked about this a little bit during the week. I feel like The Marshal is the first episode of The Mandalorian that really showed how big the universe had become in the wake of the second Death Star explosion. Yeah.
I really enjoyed Cobb's story talking about that.
Yeah. That was great when he was like, when the Death Star exploded. The second one. and it was delivered in that Raylan Givens, Timothy Oliphant way that only he can do. And yeah, so I mean, I'll admit I fanboyed out a little bit because Tim Oliphant is one of my favorite actors, and
I love him. Yeah,
and Justified is legitimately in my top 3 of all time favorite shows. So, and if we're talking like all time favorite like drama type shows, it's number 1.
And the thing he has that same coolness about him that the Mando has, and
yes,
he did not back down. He was like, look. Hey, you might be used to giving orders, but in this town, I'm the one that gives orders.
Yeah, and he knew how to use the armor pretty well. So let's jump ahead a little bit. So we found out how he got the armor. He bought it off Jawas.
Jawas get everything, man.
Amazing. All right, so then he goes back into the village, the town, the mining camp, and the people who had taken over. He does what people dressed as Mandalorians do who aren't named Boba Fett, and kicks some ass. Explain to me how he got, was this a Mary Sue thing? He got the armor, he went directly back to town, and he used it flawlessly.
I mean, it might be one of those, what was the commercial, the old Geico commercials, so easy a caveman could do it?
Yeah, maybe. So easy a miner can do it. No dissing miners or anything like that, but I found that kind of funny because he's not a Mandalorian, and he used the armor much better than Boba Fett did. I did like when he sat down and took the helmet off, and the just kind of the body language shift in Mando.
Yes.
So whoever was in the armor, kudos. And then he said, real Mandalorian. I've never met a real one before. And it was just so cool because, here Mando was expecting this to be this is the way, believer. And, it just turned out to be some dude who was just doing good.
Yeah, and it's funny you said like whoever's under the armor, because we have no idea who's under there at any given time, really.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love that scene because you could absolutely see the body language, and that's the cool thing about one of the cool things I like about not being able to see someone's face.
Yeah,
but you can still read them with the body language.
Well, I thought Oliphant did a great job with that too, because when he came back and he walked into the bar and his buddy the Weequay proprietor, who was played by W. Earl Brown, who was the bartender on Deadwood, that Timothy Oliphant was on. He did the same thing where he just kind of did the head nod to tell him to get out, and like that was 100% body language, and it was awesome. Mm-hmm. So.
And from there, we get, of course, they're going to throw down, and then we get the kind of
the shakes
main antagonist of the story.
That's a good way to put it.
Okay,
hold on. Before we talk about that, the beginning opens with the Mandalorian walking through some seedy city where there's lights down the corridor and there's red eyes in the darkness, which I thought was really cool. And he goes to a Gamorrean wrestling match with
a ring fight.
Yeah, ring fight, whatever the hell a ring fight is. Essentially an axe battle contest. Where I guess they were like wearing body shields. There was a lot of Dune in this episode.
I was about to say that was Dune right there.
Anyway, and he's Gor Koresh was voiced by John Leguizamo, who I love as well. It was a really cool moment, and it still like did the thing where when Baby Yoda closed the pram, right, or the child closed the pram, like I wanted everything to be dark and just hear the whistling birds killing everybody. I didn't want to see it.
Yeah, that's I get why they did that, but there's something about not seeing something and then hearing it and just letting your imagination
theater of the mind is a very powerful tool. And they could have saved like that budget for something else. But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, that's how it started. And then Gor Koresh tried to run away. Mandalorian got him. He had promised that he wouldn't kill him by his own hand. And he stuck to his word and left him.
Read the fine print, Gor.
Left him for the red-eyed creatures in a very cool moment that I don't want to like super spoil. But yeah, the season just started off on a high note. I will also say the runtime of this episode was 51 minutes, much preferable to the 34-minute series premiere. So I was excited for that. But okay, so back to sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was about to say that was actually one of the things I sent you right before I started watching. I said, dude, it's like 50 minutes long.
Yeah. Woohoo! All right, so back to Mos Pelgo. So yeah, they're about to what was it? Skin that smoke wagon, and throw down. And everything starts shaking, and Timothy Oliphant does the great finger up just 1 second. I need to check on something. And they come to a bit of a parlay, an accord, if you will, about what Mando can do to earn the armor, the Boba Fett armor back.
Yeah, help him defeat the crate dragon.
Yeah.
Which it's funny. I've heard so much about crate dragons and Star Wars lore, and
mm-hmm.
to actually see one, that thing was a real deal.
Yeah, I mean, like Shai Hulud would have been proud.
Yeah, not just from a terror standpoint, but the animation and the CG of this bringing this thing to life.
So, here's the cool thing about the crate dragon, right? Is when they were filming those scenes, they were filmed in IMAX. So when the crate dragon fights would happen, I don't know if you noticed, but the aspect ratio of the screen would switch to 21:9 from 16:9. So you got the black bars on the top and bottom.
It's funny that I didn't notice that part, but I was thinking in my head, like, this looks just different.
Yeah.
Like, every time it was on, I was like, this looks different. Like, it was so well done, so well executed. And again, we talked about this before, about Mandalorian being almost, in a sense, a long-running movie in the way they've done things. And I would say this season especially, or I won't say especially because there's only been 2 episodes, but both episodes this season have done a great job of, from a visual standpoint, making this look like something you could see on the big screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So so there was speculation that this was meant to be released in theaters, like the series premiere of the Inhumans, which was shot in IMAX as well.
What's Inhumans?
It's allegedly a show that was on the American Broadcast Channel.
The only Inhumans I know of is from the Avengers video game I'm playing and the Marvel comics. So, yeah.
So, anyway. Snob. Normie.
Yeah.
Anyway. No, but the whole thing. So teaming up with the Sand People was really cool. I felt like Din Djarin and Cobb Vanth had a lot of really great scenes together. There was definitely a rapport that was built to, just fast forwarding to the end. Cobb was like, really hope our paths cross again. So fingers crossed we're going to get like another couple episodes with Timothy Olyphant in there.
So speaking of, when you were talking about characters I'd rather see in a series in Boba Fett, Timothy Olyphant's character, Cobb Vanth, 100%.
Yeah, just like being the Marshal.
Yep.
With the Boba Fett costume. So I mean, he did a really good job cosplaying as Boba Fett. You never think of Timothy Olyphant as being like as wiry and thin as he is, but it really came out with that armor on.
Yeah. That was honestly the first thing when he walked in. That was the first thing I noticed about him. It's like, dude, you're built like Spike back in the day.
Yeah, like if they ever did like an old, like, and I'm not saying he's old. I mean, I think he's like 50 maybe, but like if they ever did like an old man Spider-Man, like he'd be perfect.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, like the whole scene with them like getting together with the Sand People to plan the murder of the Krayt Dragon was really cool, with the baby Krayt Dragon skeleton and the pebbles, and he's like, that's not to scale, and Din Djarin's like, it's to scale.
There are some really good one-liners
there. Yeah, it was great.
Like when the one sand person like met an untimely demise, I almost said Boba Fett.
Yeah.
You might have hung up on me.
Nah. Yeah. I can't do the show without you. Nobody wants to just listen to me talk, so I don't want to listen to just me talk.
So Mando looks over at Cobb and says, they may be open to some fresh ideas.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, so Favreau wrote and directed this one, which was great. And the reason he couldn't direct in the first season is because he was making Jungle Book. I will say, did you watch the gallery stuff about the volume?
No, I did not.
So if you guys haven't watched this, I'm going to recommend don't. Because I sit there trying to guess like where the practical like stage ends and where the volume starts, and it's affecting my enjoyment of the show, and especially in the second episode of the season. And I just need to stop doing it. I just but it's just mentally I can't, because the volume is such a cool thing and it does such an amazing job. I'm just like trying to nitpick something that I don't need to nitpick. But yeah.
You know what? The volume sounds like some type of MacGuffin you would find in Alias or something, a show like that.
Well, that was the Rimbaldi ball.
Yeah.
Which, was the dark matter used to create a black hole within a black hole within a black hole in Star Trek. So,
yes.
Anyway, okay, so they take care of the Krayt Dragon. He gets his chunk of meat. They get the Krayt Dragon's pearl, which now the Tusken Raider clan is very wealthy. which was really cool. And the pearl, I think, was from Knights of the Old Republic. That was like a mission where you got that, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
So
I never played that.
Yeah. Anyway, so I think this was cool. So Ludwig Göransson did the soundtrack again. I love the soundtrack of this show. The score.
Absolutely.
And so that's going to come out sometime in November for the first season. So last year every episode the Monday, I think, or it may have been Saturday, but or on the Friday it came out, but I usually found it on Monday after. That season's all the music from that episode was on Apple Music. So
really, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I'm not in the Apple, sphere of technology, but still.
I mean, I'm sure it was on Spotify too. So.
I was about to say, I'm sure I can say something to my Echo over here and get something. I've done it before, played the Mando theme song, but I've never I didn't realize that the music from every show came out.
They did it last year. I haven't checked to see if they've done it this year, but okay. So this episode has been the reception is very positive. 93% on Rotten Tomatoes aggregator based on 28 reviews. The critics' consensus, with surprising twists, delightful turns, and a ton of turbo-loaded action, The Marshal is a spectacular return for The Mandalorian and doesn't skimp on the Baby Yoda. Metacritic indicates generally favored reviews with 76 out of 100, with an average score of 76 out of 100. I hit the button. Where'd it go? Nick Allen of RogerEbert.com praises the Krayt Dragon action scenes and Göransson's score. Dan Feinberg of The Hollywood Reporter was concerned that season 2 might show some bloated or spoiled in some way by the success, but concluded the result was, for a little show, easily the biggest, perhaps most purely entertaining episode to date, which I agree with.
Yeah.
And then Ben Lindbergh of The Ringer criticized the episode's similarity to previous episodes, but stated that the episode resembled a blend of the mostly Monster of the Week episodes in the middle of last season, which didn't shed a lot of light on the overarching plot, which I disagree with that 100%, and I don't know what show he was watching.
So I have a thing about this.
I have a thing about The Ringer lately, but let's...
I haven't paid attention.
That's neither here nor there, so...
This show does have an overarching plot, but it's not. But unlike other shows, say for instance Supernatural, since I mentioned it earlier, there is a clear, 100% clear path that they take from the start of the season to the end of the season. And yes, they have Monster of the Week and filler episodes.
They meander.
Yes, but this show is not focused on that overarching plot. Like a Supernatural or another show like Arrow or something like that. Yes, there's a plot to get Baby Yoda, the child, to its to meet up with more Mandalorians, get the child back to its family or Jedi or whatever, what have you.
Yeah.
In that though, there is a lot of there's more room for to go different places or. Like a Supernatural or something like that has that specific end goal. You have more constraints. You have to divvy out the plot in a certain way. This show is not like that. So Ben Lindbergh, and again, you can have your opinion, but I think it's pretty clear that this show is not like one of those shows that have a definitive end game.
It doesn't have an end point in mind. They're not building towards an ending yet. They're exactly. In which Star Wars has never really done that, let's be honest.
And I think people are so used to that in genre shows that they not only they expect it, but they see it in their mind even though it's not there with this.
Yeah. All right. The last thing is and we can talk about her more because she had much more to do in the second episode, but Amy Sedaris was so great when they first showed up, and she's like so happy to see the child, and she's like, if you ever get another one, I would like to buy it or its offspring. So
I saw a couple of
I forgot to mention that.
About that.
Yeah, anyway. Okay, so that was The Marshal. Great episode. Like I was really happy with it. All right, so moving on, episode 2, since it came out today. Spoilers. We're not gonna be able to avoid those.
Exclamation point! Exclamation point!
Yeah.
Exclamation point!
Wait. Wah wah wah. There you go, Matt. My buddy Matt said he liked my little wah 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 sound, which I think is awful and obnoxious. But all right, so this one is called The Passenger. In the summary, it's just a very short sentence is all I could find. The Mandalorian must ferry a passenger with precious cargo, more on that later, on a risky journey. This was
short,
yeah,
to the point.
The episode was shortened to the point. It was only a 36-minute runtime.
Yeah.
Peyton Reed from Bring It On fame directed this, written by Jon Favreau. It was also Peyton Reed did Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp. So yeah, super small cast in this. You had the Mando, so Pedro and his rotating cast of stuntmen, Amy Sedaris, Misty Rose was the Frog Lady. That was her name, the Frog Lady. D. Bradley Baker. Do you know who D. Bradley Baker is?
Yeah.
Okay. So if you guys don't know, he was the voice of Rex and Cody and all of the clones in Clone Wars. He was also the voice of Appa on and Momo on Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar.
So he does a lot of animals. There, like he's made a whole thing, and he was the voice of the Frog Lady. Richard Ayoade was back as Zero, and then Paul Sun-Hung Lee was Captain Carson Teva, and Dave Filoni was back as Trapper Wolf.
Trapper Wolf.
So Trapper Wolf, I'm not sure what the Trapper comes from, but the Wolf is because of Loth Wolf. Anyway, I was lukewarm. So I actually watched it twice today. I don't know how many times you got to watch it.
Watched it once, and I watched 3 reactions to it. So.
Okay. So I watched it in pieces this morning, and then this afternoon, Angel and I sat down and watched the whole thing. So I watched it all at once. So I was lukewarm on it, watching it in pieces, because I think I had too much time to think about silly things. And I'm just going to get my nitpick out of the way. So when he is approached by the X-Wings and they're getting to go their separate ways, he says to them, "May the Force be with you."
Yeah.
It has been shown in the show he does not know what the Force is. And when the armorer tells him about Jedi, he calls them space wizards.
Yeah.
And yet he knows to just say, "May the Force be with you."
I could see that's something. Well,
it's a nitpick. Like it didn't, like, it just kind of took me out of the moment for a second. But
so,
Johnny boy, I need to know, why did he say that?
Okay, so this was an episode that the first probably like 15 minutes, even though the ambush was pretty cool, but the first 15 minutes or so of this episode, I was kind of bored. Like,
okay,
and
so
partially part of that had to do with chapter 9 being so good, and me expecting that. So it tempered my expectations, but I will say the second half of the episode I really enjoyed, and it went from a Star Wars to almost like this horror movie type setup, which Peyton Reed with Ant-Man and doing all the ants, and R.I.P. Anthony.
Too soon.
So seeing him do, I think he did with the what do you call it, the horde, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
Just like he would. So I really enjoyed how this became kind of like your regular romp of, passenger with a precious cargo to a horror story of survival.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the second half of this. The second half I really enjoyed. A little bit lukewarm on the first half of the episode.
Yeah. So so I did notes on this one, which I've not been as diligent as you are in doing notes. So I started Bounty Hunters Just Don't Quit. They did not quit. It was why is the child so helpless still? He's exhibited like force abilities. Not saying I want him to be like a fully trained thing, but like when Den and when Den, well, yeah, he stopped the big beastie thing there. The Slughorn. No, that's not right.
Slughorn. That's okay.
No, Slughorn is not the right word. Slughorn was a professor in Harry Potter. Mudhorn. He stopped the Mudhorn.
Mudhorn, yeah. Mudhorn.
And when he was when Din and Cara Dune were just having a friendly test of strength, he choked her out. Like, there's a dude who has you with a knife. Like, just like do the magic hand thing, baby.
Yeah, he can do the magic hand thing, baby.
So there was that. And then how much of Pedro will be in this episode was my next thing. So yeah, why didn't he just fly them back to the Razor Crest? Why did he take the speeder bike?
Yeah. See,
like, is he trying to return it? Like, is it like, was it a rental?
Yeah, I would assume.
Like, is he getting? I don't think he's getting his deposit back on that one. So my next one is, why is he so dumb? The Mando is dumb. He makes a lot of dumb moves. I don't feel like he ever has a plan.
Well, he likes shooting from the hip, to coin a phrase.
Yeah, I guess. And so this is all just the whole thing at the beginning with the bounty hunters. The other cool thing is this was 100% the coolest use of Mandalorian jetpack ever.
Yes.
So when they did the tripwire to wreck the speeder bike, when he leaves Baby Yoda, the child, to go like just blah, 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 on the ground.
Like a tumbleweed.
And yet he has the wherewithal to use the jetpack to land safely and softly and in battle formation. But then when the alien, I don't remember the species, had Baby Yoda with a knife to his throat. There are a lot of knives in these first two episodes. Did you notice that?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I'm, as a fan of knives.
I mean, it's very Dune, like, again with the Chris knives. But so this creature has a knife to the little creature that is the child, and he wants the jetpack that the Mandalorian has, not the Boba Fett one that's just like hanging out on the ground over there. He wants the new to use that phrase again. And again, great use of the jetpack.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that, and to your point about Mando not having a plan, I don't know, because going back to episode 1, where he is in the pit fighting ring or the pit fighting area, he knows there's the chance to be surrounded, and he has what are they called, are they the whispering willows?
The whispering birds.
Whispering birds.
Or whistling birds.
Whistling birds. Okay. But it does seem like he's caught off guard more than he should be. I will say that.
Like, he's surprised that this guy is lying to him about where the Mandalorians are. And, it's just, he seems kind of dumb. Anyway, so, and then he has to walk back. Like, if his jetpack is out of juice, I'm sure the one he just got from Cobb Vanth, he could have flown that.
Yeah.
And we did leave out a great line from Cobb Vanth when he's like, I didn't break that from when Han broke it and killed Boba Fett. I just real quick throwback to the last episode. But yeah, so while it was great and it looked amazing and Peyton Reed is no slouch when it comes to doing the action, and it was cool to see the bounty hunters just like rolling out of the rock formations like clowns in a clown car.
Yes.
Again, like, dude, you even say 2 minutes later in dialogue, we have to move around. Speed is our ally. Like, they're coming for you.
So why do you take a job where you're? I mean, I get why he had to take the job.
No, but why isn't he more observant about what's going on? Why isn't he more cautious?
Yeah.
So it's almost like he doesn't care about the child.
Well, I mean, let's face it, the child is kind of a murderer.
The child is a straight up stone cold killer.
Yeah, so
I counted 5.
How many?
5 that I counted. There may have been more, but 5.
Yeah, so. It's kind of funny that last season when they were on, I think it was episode 3 with Gina Carano's first episode where the child is eating the frog.
The frog, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, everyone's like, oh, that's disgusting, but they're laughing at it.
Yeah.
And as I told you, I do watch some reaction.
Yeah. I typically don't
channels,
watch those, but that's, yeah.
But every single one of them, I mean, they laugh, but they were like, dude, what are you doing? There's like, that's a potential sentient being you're eating.
Yeah, right. So, all right. So real quick, just to get back, so he gets back to Peli, and the Razor Crest. Well, first he meets her in a bar where she's playing cards. I think she's playing sabacc, and you know, she looks at him and she says, "Stop your crying, you'll rust." I thought that was great, and then she you know, won from Dr. Mandible, as she called him, and the guy had to, or well, the creature told him, like, yeah, I have a person who knows where Mandalorians are, and you know, lo and behold, it's someone that Peli had just met, and she played it off like they were old friends. Again, he's so dumb. I will say, when they were cooking the crate dragon meat on the engine and everything, I thought that was a really cool scene. And she says, "I like my medium rare. I'm not a Rodian." What did Rodians do to her? Like, why the hate?
I have to say, I really love her character.
I love her too. If she came back like every 5th episode, I would be just over the moon.
Like, she is awesome.
Did you watch Strangers with Candy when it was on Comedy Central?
No, I did not.
She was the lead in that. It was her and Stephen Colbert when he used to be funny. And it was great. He was the principal and she was like a 30-year-old high school student. And she's, you know, she's had mental issues. And then she was in Chef. Did you watch Chef yet?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, she's Gloria from Sofia Vergara's character's publicist, who's the one who's trying to help him out after he goes nuts and ends up on the internet, and she gets him an audition for Hell's Kitchen. Because she has no idea. Yeah. She thinks he's just like a cook at McDonald's or something. But yeah, so that was great. And then it was that whole thing, right? She's like, "Oh no, this is easy. It'll be fine. It's just her." But she's got these eggs, and she's got to get them there by a certain amount of time. And oh yeah, by the way, no light speed, no hyperspace. And he agreed to it.
Yeah.
Dumb.
You know, a lot of these, like what's going on, especially these first 2 episodes, it really reminds me of an RPG when you have to do these little, you talk to this person, then talk to this person, then talk to this person. Maybe they can help you. That's exactly what I couldn't help but thinking that. It's just like, dude, like I'm watching a RPG get played, because it's just like hop here.
I think that is a really good way to explain it. So, okay, so then they load up on the Razor Crest and take off, and you know, there's a bit of foreshadowing when he tells her to buckle in, that sublight travel can be rough. And then he plots his course after complaining about pirates and pirates taking your ship and or killing you. He goes and takes a nap.
Yeah, which
okay.
That's one of those, I would 100% agree. That's kind of weird. If you know all of this stuff and you know light speed is dangerous, wouldn't you want to be awake to
be diligent?
I don't know. Diligent. Yeah, be diligent. Check out the sensors. Maybe change up like the course every now and then.
Yeah.
Just in, you know, especially if you're going down like, you know, quote unquote space corridor that's well traveled. You know, I mean, I don't know how the Star Wars universe then does some of the travel, especially when you're talking about sublight speeds and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm gonna take a nap. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, he goes and does that, and then you get the warning klaxon, and you get, Commander Tiva and Trapper Wolf, and or Captain Tiva and Trapper Wolf, and they're like, "Hey, Razor Crest, what's up with your ship? Who are you?"
Can you get on the second channel real quick?
Yeah,
I like that.
So so there I have oh shit, X-foils into attack position. I will say, so before he goes to his nap, that's where we first find Baby Yoda, baby child, straight up murdering the Frog Lady's babies by eating the eggs, like gleefully, just. And I will say, it was pretty cute the way it was pretty cute the way he murdered those babies.
That is wow, that sentence right there.
Yeah, I know.
It's pretty cute the way he
don't take that
babies.
Out of context, please. So he used the Force to draw the eggs like closer to him when he was like lusting over them in the container. But yeah. All right, so the New Republic has a whole bunch of rules now. Like, his ship was grandfathered in because it was pre-Clone Wars, and he didn't have to have like a transponder and all this tracking beacons and pings and stuff like that. And they're like, "No, you need those. We need to prove you're not Empire."
Yeah. And
so
I will say this.
Okay, go ahead.
When the one was it Tiva that told Wolf to get on the second line?
Yeah.
Dude, isn't there a way to say that without, I don't know, signaling the person that you're?
Why not just get on the second line and like squawk at him, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that works, but yeah, Wolf is a total Karen. Just let the dude like travel in peace. He wasn't bothering anybody. But yeah, no, like the New Republic is not any better than the Empire, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So
we've had this discussion.
We have had this discussion before.
And it's not as cut and dry as people like to make it out to be, especially when you're talking about a section of space that is, I don't even know how big.
It's the Outer Rim. It's huge.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is the New Republic, the rebellion, right, overthrew the existing state of government and did not have a plan for how they were going to replace that. All they did was they went back to the old way of things that people weren't happy about either. Palpatine was horrible. He was awful. He enslaved entire planets. But there was order and there was peace. So, if you're one of those planets that weren't enslaved, like, you don't have a lot to complain about. Now, if you're one of those planets that were enslaved, I totally understand why you had a rebellion. But the New Republic is like, this is the thing that's always, well, not always, because in the books and stuff, like, they created the government and Leia took over and she was the president. And the fact that they did not do that in the movies, I think, is the biggest travesty of the sequel trilogy, and the books let me rephrase that, of the Disney canon. I don't know why they wanted to make her this militant general, and like, words are hard, but yeah, and so they put the S-foils into attack position. They attack him essentially. He does a really good job outrunning them by being like, this is gonna sound weird, but being a smart flyer. Until he's not a smart flyer. So
and I will say that let me talk about.
Yeah.
We were talking about how the Mandalorian has done such a good job of making it feel like a movie, and the whole chase scene that we're talking about right now is another example of that.
Yeah.
It's just so well done.
It's so beautiful. Such a great, just great looking space battle.
Yeah. It's just, that was one of those. That's when that moment of watching that chase scene. That's when everything picked up for me with this episode.
You mean it wasn't when Baby Yoda ate the egg?
Yeah, I was actually I wasn't mad at Baby Yoda, but I was disappointed.
You were cheering.
Later on, I got mad.
You were like, eat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was cool. I did like how he was a leaf on the wind. Watch how he soars. When he got onto the snow planet of all things. That's in my notes, by the way. Yeah, so the Razor Crest is fucked.
That ship has taken a pounding from the start of season 1 to now. I mean, it's going to be a point where he's just going to have to scrap it and just get a new ship.
I hope not, but you know, I will say once they crashed and they were in that cavern and the frog lady took off to find the hot springs to, you know, have her little spa day. Now, was it an egg bath or was it egg soup?
I don't know.
I know what Baby Yoda thought it was.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, when he tried to eat them and the Mando gave him the finger, like the don't finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the child's stomach is going to become a problem for him.
Well, I don't know. He might be like one of those people that can eat it literally.
Oh, I'm not saying he's going to get sick. I'm saying he's going to eat the wrong thing and piss somebody off because, you know.
You mean like, you know, I don't know, just like going over to like an alien face hugger looking
spore
pod and opening it up and eating what's in it.
Spiders.
Like
why does it always have to be spiders?
And that was, again, when I was talking earlier about this episode transitioning into basically a horror survival movie. That I don't know. It's something about the legs, you know. Like my sister she's done better now, but she used to be terrified of spiders. Didn't matter how small they were.
Angel is like terrified same way.
But I just don't like spiders, like especially the bigger ones, and when the way they move. It's kind of like watching. I don't know if I sent you that video of the octopus on the the beach. It's just something surreal about something like that. The way something like that moves.
Well, see, I don't like octopus. They climb in trees. They jump on people's heads. They are an advanced force from an alien planet. I'm 100% convinced, and they're just biding their time.
Well, I mean, that's what a lot of the Lovecraftian creatures are like.
Yeah. So, all right, real quick, my notes for this are spiders. Why does it always have to be spiders? Run, Mando, run, and then burn, spiders, burn.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought when I'm watching those eggs hatch. I'm thinking, dude, you have a flamethrower. Granted, that was a massive amount of eggs right there. So.
Yeah, I mean, he did, so much. Yeah. So, and there were just little spider creatures coming from out of every rock, nook and cranny. And then you had the big mama spider, who was as big as the Razor Crest, essentially. Yeah, but then I put, oh, thank the gods, the X-Wings are here. That plot armor sure is thick. So, nobody dies. The mom was okay. Like I wasn't expecting Frog Lady to die, but at the same time, like him having to deliver the babies to the dad without her would have been really weird and compelling. At the same time, to see if he like followed through on it, like how to his word is he, or would he have just let the child eat them?
So it's funny when she like the second before she went all four went basically frog on us.
Yeah.
I thought she was going to fall and just get mobbed by spiders.
Yeah.
But because that would have been interesting to see what Mando would have. I think he would have completed the mission.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, he's a hero, but I will say X11 being back and Frog Lady using him as a translator was pretty cool. You know, that was neat. I did like when he said, "I don't understand frog." And then he tried to speak to her in Huttese. So how many how many weird guttural languages does he know between that and Sand Person?
Yeah, I think he listed like 3 or 4 or 5.
Yeah, but yeah, and then I thought it was like very Empire of the New Republic not to stick around and help him. They just threatened him.
Yeah,
did you notice that?
Yeah, I thought that was pretty dickish right there.
Yeah,
like we're doing you a favor, not turning you in.
Right. So like, how about he did you a favor by capturing 3 wanted criminals and killing 2 more, and killing a third that he just is hanging on to for some reason in the Razor Crest that like is like Sunnydale. It's just has however much room it needs to have to be whatever it needs to be.
Yeah, it's like a tin Harry Potter.
It's like the TARDIS. It's bigger on the inside. Yeah. And then the episode ends with Baby Yoda eating one last hidden egg.
Man, like this is the one episode where like
it was funny. I thought it was funny, but it was still like I
think probably the funniest part was before he ate the first egg, he actually looked behind him to see who was there.
Oh, he was looking around the whole time. Like every time he was trying to get in there, he was like super sneaky. He was like John Turturro in Mr. Deeds. I'm very sneaky. I would like to wash your feet. I'm very sneaky.
So why is the first thing I think of Jonathan Turturro, I think of Transformers?
Because you're not obsessed with The Big Lebowski like I am. So, all right. All in. I mean, this was like I felt like it was a little bit of a letdown after the previous episode, right? But at the same time, it was still a really good episode.
Yeah, and that's what when you have it, and I've had. I've watched countless shows over the years. So you have that where you have a show where one episode is just so damn good. And then you get the other one. And like you said, it's a letdown, not for anything the following show did, but it was because what came before it was so good.
I mean, it was a good story. The episode looked great. Again, this was a thing where I had an issue with like the volume and like what's real and what's not. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was just, I thought it was a really good episode, but at the same time, it was like, this is okay. Like, I like it. I don't love it, but I think had this been the first episode, I'd have been perfectly fine with that too.
Yeah.
So
like this would have been the first episode, and the Marshal would have been the second.
Like giving them, like looking at the Marshal, right? That's like a solid 9 out of 10 for me.
Absolutely.
Looking at this, it's a solid 8 out of 10 for me. So like when I say it's a letdown, it's like a semantical argument.
Yeah. Which I mean, technically it is a letdown if you're looking at it the way we are, but on its own, it was very well done.
Yeah. I think we're irresponsible to look at it as any other way than a good episode though.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So what were your reaction videos? Like what were they saying?
So like a couple of things they were saying. Well, for this one, I'm trying to focus on this one and not the Marshal one. Like they were again, all of them were concerned. Like one of them I didn't finish, but they were all said pretty much the same thing about Baby Yoda being, dude, that's sentient creatures you're eating. They didn't get into the detail of how Mando has made some, let's just say, questionable decisions. It was more along the lines of everyone enjoyed it, and they just said it was like a fun episode, and I'll say it was a very fun episode. I really liked the horror aspect. I mean, I know I've said this like twice already, but I really liked that because it kind of reminded me of episode 6. It's funny because again, that was the one with Trapper Wolf in it and the criminals he was talking about. there was a horror aspect to that too when Mando was hunting down the criminals. I can't remember their names, but were like it was in the dark of corridors and everything like that. So I like that change and bringing something like that into the Star Wars universe, and kind of because it just gives you a different perspective, and it's not just about the whole space opera or the sci-fi aspects, but just throwing in a little horror too, or a little comedy or something along those lines. But yeah, like the ones that I watched, they all enjoyed it. I like the one that usually gets the deepest into it, like Blind Wave. They get deep into, because they're geeks like us. But that was the one I didn't actually. I just got a chance to finish the episode with them, so I didn't listen to them talk, after it and compare it to, the Marshal or anything like that. But overall, it like the ones I've watched, they really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, but I don't think anyone said it the way we said it, as far as it being a letdown or not being as good as the Marshal.
But it's like it's like to a minutia of a degree, right? Yeah, like a minute degree. It's like it's still a really, really good episode. It's still like one of the better episodes of the series, and but at the same time, like I also think if we're not reviewing this the day of, like if we had the a week like we did with the Marshal. I don't know if I'd feel the same way as far as like, I was a little let down by it.
I think I would, and the reason it's because, again, the first 15 minutes for me, they dragged a little bit. And when I say I don't want to say drag, because that means like, and I said earlier that it was boring. I don't want to say it was boring, but again, it just didn't capture my attention like the first few minutes of the premiere did. So that's the best way I can describe it, because I was actually doing other things. I was taking notes, but I was also checking other things on my phone, which I did not do last week.
Oh no, not at all.
And then once they crashed, or once they actually started running from the X-wings, I put everything else away. That's what caught me up.
When the S-foils went into attack position, that's when I was like, I perked up.
Yep.
So
that's exactly what happened with me too.
It was like, so yeah. I don't know. I mean, like I said, 9 out of 10 and an 8 out of 10. Like we don't have a lot to complain about this show at the moment.
Yeah, very good
stuff. The only thing to complain about is we have not seen Gina Carano yet.
That was actually on one of my talking points.
Well, so there were people complaining already about how like there's no female representation because Gina Carano is not in it. Yet Peli Motto, what about Peli Motto?
I was about to say,
What about all the ladies who helped kill the Crate Dragon?
Yeah, I mean, just because you couldn't see them. Oh well, no, they were.
What about the frog lady?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm being facetious at this point, but no, I mean, like Gina Carano not showing up yet, it hasn't made sense for her to show up yet. He has not had to go back to find Cargreef and get help for anything.
Yeah. This is just our love of Gina Carano, wanting her in pretty much every episode.
Yeah.
But understanding at the same time from a story perspective.
Yeah. Oh, hey, real quick, the droid is not X11, it's 0. I called it the wrong thing, and I just need to fix that real quick. Sorry.
Okay.
So,
you called it 0 earlier, so it was
the second one I said X11, but yeah, it's 0. Okay. I don't know what I was thinking with X11. I don't even know what that is. So, by the way, Bill Burr was Mayfield. That was his character. And
Mayfield, okay.
Gian
I wasn't a stormtrooper, wise ass.
Wise ass. I love Billy. Billy Burr is great.
I love Bill Burr.
So, all right, just quick tangent side note. You guys look up Bill Burr Helium Comedy Club Philadelphia on YouTube, and you will thank me for it. It's one of the greatest stand-up sets of all time. You're typing it in now?
Yes, I am.
He was on the Opie and Anthony comedy tour at the time, and it was like this huge thing in Philly, and he's on stage, and this crowd at Helium starts booing him because Philadelphia and the type of people who are in Philadelphia. Sorry, Julian. Philadelphia people are garbage. He just starts giving it back to him, right? Just like talking about how awful Philadelphia is, and like just going at him. And at the end, he gets a standing ovation. It was great. It's one of the greatest stand-up sets of all time.
Look, Philadelphia booed Darren Dalton's kid in a father-son game because they were upset at him.
Yeah.
That's what Philadelphia fans do.
They booed Donovan McNabb. Why would you ever boo Donovan McNabb? He is one of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. And if he had ever won a Super Bowl, he would be it would be like Brady, and then 10 notches down Peyton, and then 3 notches down Joe Montana, and then 4 notches down Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
In that order.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I mean, nobody's going to beat the GOAT. Dude, what's going to happen if Super Tangent Part 2. What happens if Tampa Bay wins the Super Bowl this year? Does Bill Belichick have to retire?
Does Max Kellerman have to retire?
Max Kellerman should retire anyway. Dude, oh God, how did he not get laid off today?
I know Ivan
How do you lay off Ian Maisel and you keep Max Kellerman?
That makes no sense to me.
Because you know who you don't need on that show with the rotating cast of woman lead anchor and Stephen A. Smith? You don't need Max Kellerman.
Max Kellerman. I was about to say Max Kellerman.
He's the whole. He's just the one to be like, oh guys, oh, I know boxing, but I don't know anything else. Dude, I almost can't watch Creed 2 anymore because he's in it.
Watch what?
Creed 2 because he's in it.
Oh, he is?
Well, he's one of the boxing announcers.
Oh.
See, when he just did boxing, I loved him.
Yeah, he was fine. Yeah, but
he doesn't know anything about any. Never mind. We'll talk about this off later. So this has nothing to do with the Mandalorian. But yeah, it's just one of those things where like this was all good. It was all good. And when you guys watch this, you'll or if you've watched it, I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. But yeah.
Yeah, and I just have really high hopes, and we all know what's coming. Or most of us know what's coming as far as some of the new characters and some of the new characters coming, as well as some of the ones that we just talked about, Grief and Gina Carano. Mm-hmm. They're coming. So I only have high hopes for what we have left. Right. 6 more episodes?
Yeah, 6.
But anyway, I can't complain about that either because these are. It means it's going to be a tight season.
I love that it's only 8 episodes. You know how I feel. I think 13 episodes should be the max anything's allowed to go. 10 is the preference, but 8, like this, The Boys, some of the other stuff that's come out recently, 8 episodes is perfect.
Yeah, like something like The Expanse, I think needs 10 episodes at least.
Yeah, even the last season of The Expanse wasn't 10 episodes.
Yeah, it was.
Was it 10?
Yeah, remember the seasons before it was 13. And
that's right. That's right. Okay, but yeah, I think The Expanse at 10 episodes is perfect.
Yeah.
So, December 16th will be here soon.
Yes. That'll be on our talks as well because they'll be out on Wednesdays.
Yep.
Kind of interesting. That is midweek.
Yeah, so we'll have a crossover that week with The Expanse and the season 2 finale of the Mandalorian.
Wow, that's gonna
be a good week.
Yes, the end of one thing and the beginning of another.
Yep, and then we'll see. There's no way we can do the certified infamous list this year. We could do it for TV, but we can't do it for movies.
No,
I mean nothing came out. Unless we want to talk about movies that came out on streaming, but I don't think it's the same fun. Certified infamous movies of the year: Tenet and New Mutants.
The Gentleman.
I didn't see The Gentleman.
There we go.
I didn't see that one,
really
so
good.
but it's on your list, not
Really
mine.
Yeah.
So,
I was like, what did I go see this year? And it was like, I went to see that in January.
I mean, I'm trying to think of what I saw. I mean, I'd have to look it up to see what I saw at the beginning of the year. But like, I definitely went to the movies, but I just don't remember what they were because that in 2020 time, that was 4,272,803 days ago.
4,007,000 years ago.
470 billion years ago, man was allowed to go outside without masks. You were allowed to see if people had nose piercings or lipstick or chapped lips.
So are you channeling your inner Bane right there?
No. I was doing the Abraham Lincoln from Disneyland. the old animatronic Abraham Lincoln in the Hall of History or whatever it was called. I am Abraham Lincoln. I don't know. I don't even remember if that's how it sounded or not, but I guess it could be kind of been. Yeah.
So you're getting dangerously close to tangent number 3 right now.
You were born into breathing fresh air. I merely adopted it with my mask.
Oh man, if they had a Bane mask.
They do have Bane masks. I sent you one. I texted it to you when I got the Guy Fawkes mask, which I totally wore to vote, and I wore all day yesterday.
Did anybody say anything about it?
No, but I have a funny story that I'll tell you offline. But anyway. All right. Quick shout out. Thank you, Julian, and our newest patron, Matt Mitchell. Thank you guys for supporting the show. So if you guys want to join Julian and Matt in helping us out, check out patreon.com/infamouspodcast. You get access early to the episodes. So even though we're recording this a day late, you'll still get it before Sunday. And there's all sorts of cool tiers where you can say, perhaps, like, suggest topics and we'll vote on them. And if it's a cool topic, we'll do it. Right now, if you did that, Terry, you'd be the only one. So we would definitely do it. So that could be dangerous for us. There's a tier where you get cool shirts because we have awesome shirts. Check out Flying Pork Apparel. Actually, just go to infamouspodcast.com and click on shop, and it'll take you right to the Flying Pork Apparel shop where you can buy our sweet ass shirts. One of which I'm wearing right now. It says Infamous Podcast in Krakoan. You can get Infamous Podcast in Arabish as well. Sticking with the Star Wars theme. I think you can get one that says "This is the way" in Arabish, and it's got the Infamous Podcast logo on the back. So I think I adequately plugged this time.
Yeah, that was a seriously good plug.
There. If you are listening to us on anything but YouTube right now, I put the episodes up on YouTube usually on Monday. So like if it's easier for you to listen while you're working from home and you have YouTube open in your browser, that's a thing too.
Yes.
So, but
this is the way.
This is the way. All right. So we will see you guys next week. We'll be back with chapter 3, whatever it is. How cool would that be if that was the title and I was like some sort of seer and I figured it out? Just a random guess. Whatever it is. Hey, Mandalorian chapter 3, whatever it is. Or be chapter 11, whatever it is. But yeah, and I think Darryl, you're gonna have to come up next week because the room will be ready.
Oh, nice.
I built the shelves over the weekend. I have started, or over yesterday. Down in the basement, the big racks for the comics to go down there, and I've started moving them. I've got about 8 more boxes to move, and we're good. So then everything can go in the closet until I decide to organize the closet.
Sweet.
So, yeah, plus you've got a whole bag of goodies here that you need to get, and you have my Nightwing.
I was about to say I have your Nightwing.
You'll have my Nightwing.
Yeah, that red hood won't be here by then, but
that's all right. Well, I have your Korra and your Infamous Podcast Krakoan shirt and another surprise for you. So
sweet.
Oh, and I have your little whatever Forces of Adventure Mandalorian with Baby Yoda. That is better than any other Baby Yoda, like little tiny like action figure version. Better than any of the other ones that have been put out.
I don't know, man. I have those little.
I'm telling you, he is awesome. Like it's the best one. So. Anyway. All right. On that note, thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
Peace out.
Bye. The Infamous Podcast is recorded in Kings Mills, Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, with new episodes out every Sunday. You can find more information about the show online at infamouspodcast.com or on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as at Infamous Podcast. You can subscribe to the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcatching app. If you're enjoying the show, consider giving us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast or check out our Patreon at patreon.com/infamouspodcast for our new tiers and rewards. The Infamous Podcast is hosted and produced by me, Brian Tudor, with music provided by Michael Henry from meetmichaelhenry.com. You can find me on social media on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as at Brian Tudor. So, whenever you're listening to the show, have a great day, night, evening, weekend, whenever it is. And we'll see you next time. Later.